The stars above were silent. Far from Earth, on a cold and rocky planet, stood a forgotten human outpost. It was called Outpost E-79. No ships had come in months. No messages had been received. The crew inside started to believe that Earth had forgotten them. The wind outside screamed day and night, carrying dust across the metal walls. Inside, the lights flickered. Systems were failing, one by one. Something felt wrong, but no one could say what. Commander Reyna sat alone in the control room, staring at the empty screen. She had sent 20 signals to Earth, no answer. Her fingers tapped the desk slowly. She didn't want to show it, but she was scared. The crew was small, only 4 people now. Supplies were running low. Hope was fading. In the engine bay, Tom, the engineer, hit the side of a broken panel. Sparks flew. "This station is falling apart," he muttered, "and no one cares." His voice echoed off the metal walls. Ilara, the medic, stood nearby, checking her scanner. "The air filter is failing again," she said quietly. "If it goes, we won't have much time." Tom shook his head. "We need help, or a miracle." That night, something strange happened. Jen, the youngest crew member, was monitoring the signal logs. She was tired, but she stayed awake. At 2:13 a.m., her screen flashed. A signal. But it wasn't from Earth. It was low, deep, and repeating every 6 seconds. It wasn't in any language she knew. She quickly called the others. They gathered around the console. Reyna played the signal again. It sounded like a heartbeat mixed with a whisper. No one could understand it. "Could it be a distress call?" Ilara asked. "Or a trap," Tom replied. Reyna didn't say anything. Her eyes were fixed on the screen. "We're not alone," she finally said. For the next 2 days, the crew tried to trace the signal. It came from deep space beyond known star systems, but then it changed. The signal grew stronger, like it was getting closer. That same night, the lights in the outpost dimmed. One by one, the systems failed. First the lights, then the heaters, then the main comms array. But nothing was broken. The machines just stopped working, as if something told them to. Then something worse happened. Tom went missing. Reyna searched every room. Ilara checked the life signs. Jen replayed the security footage, but there was nothing. 1 minute, Tom was in the hallway near the reactor room. The next minute, he was gone. The doors were locked. The cameras showed nothing. It was like he had vanished into thin air. Reyna slammed her hand on the table. "This doesn't make sense," she shouted. "People don't just disappear." Jen sat quietly in the corner. Her hands were shaking. She had found something, Tom's last log entry. His voice was weak, full of fear. "I saw something in the walls," he whispered. "It's watching us. It's not what it seems. If you hear the signal, turn it off." Reyna listened to the log again and again. What had he seen? Was he alive? They didn't know. That night, none of them slept. The outpost felt colder, quieter. Jen thought she heard footsteps in the hallway, but when she looked, no one was there. Ilara tried to calm everyone. "We're scared, that's all. Maybe Tom got hurt and crawled somewhere. We'll find him." But deep down, even she didn't believe that. The outpost had become a prison, and something was inside it with them. 3 days passed. Then, just as suddenly as he vanished, Tom returned. Reyna was walking down the hall when she saw him standing at the far end, near the locked storage room. He was facing the wall, not moving. "Tom?" she called out. He didn't reply. She walked slowly toward him, her heart pounding. When she reached him, he turned around. His face looked normal, but his eyes, they glowed faintly blue. He smiled. "I heard the signal," he said softly, "and now I understand." Reyna stepped back. "What do you mean? Where did you go?" But Tom didn't answer. He walked past her without another word and disappeared into his room. Reyna gathered the others. "That's not him," she whispered. "Something's wrong." "Jen, stared at the closed door. She could still hear the signal in her head. It was getting louder. And now, something else had started whispering to her from inside the walls. Outpost E79 was no longer just a station. It had become something else. And whatever was out there, whatever had found them, was only getting started. The outpost was quiet, but the silence felt heavy, like something was hiding in it. No one trusted Tom anymore. He looked like himself, but something was off. He didn't eat. He didn't talk much. He just walked around the halls, staring at the walls like they were speaking to him. The soft blue glow in his eyes had faded, but Reyna knew what she saw. Commander Reyna kept him under watch. Alara, the medic, scanned him every few hours, but his body was normal. Heart rate fine, brain activity normal. Nothing was wrong. At least, nothing the scanner could detect. But Alara felt it too. Tom was not the same man who vanished. Jen avoided him completely. She stayed in the control room listening to the signal. It had changed again. Now it repeated a single word. Open. No one knew what it meant. Jen didn't tell the others, but she had started dreaming about it. Dark dreams, strange places, whispers from far away. Every night the dreams felt more real. Reyna sat at the table looking at the log again. Tom's message from before he disappeared repeated in her ears. I saw something in the walls. She looked at the metal panels around her. The outpost was made of steel and wires, but now even the walls felt alive. Sometimes she thought they were watching. Then something else strange happened. The power came back on by itself. Lights flickered, on. The heaters warmed up. Systems that were broken started working again, perfectly. But the crew hadn't repaired anything. It's like the outpost fixed itself, Alara said. Or someone else did, Jen whispered. That night, Tom spoke. Again. They were in the mess hall when he walked in and sat down. His eyes were dark, but his voice was calm. I wasn't taken, he said. I was shown. Reyna stared at him. Shown what? She asked. The truth, he replied. The signal is not a warning. It's a door. Jen felt a chill run down her spine. A door to what? Tom smiled, but it didn't feel like a human smile. To them. Reyna stood up. Who is them? He looked at her and said quietly, the ones who were here before us. They left something behind. Now they want us to find it. Alara leaned closer. Tom, are you sure you're okay? He nodded slowly. I'm better than okay. I see things clearly now. Then, without warning, every screen in the outpost turned on. Static filled the air, and then images. A map, a layout of the planet. Red lines moved beneath the surface like tunnels or roots. At the center of the map was a pulsing blue dot. Tom pointed at it. That's where we must go. The crew stared at the screen. No one had seen that part of the map before. It was beneath the outpost, far below the ground. We didn't build anything there, Reyna said. That place doesn't exist in our files. Jen spoke softly. Maybe it was hidden. The map stayed on for exactly 60 seconds. Then it vanished and all the screens turned off again. The room was silent. Reyna looked at Tom. You think something's under us? I know there is, he replied. And it's waking up. The next morning, Jen was gone. Her bed was empty. Her tablet was left behind. No sign of a struggle. Just like Tom before, she had disappeared without a trace. Panic filled the crew. Alara searched the medical bay. Reyna checked the security logs. But once again, the cameras showed nothing. One moment she was sitting at the console. The next, she was gone. Reyna called a lockdown. Doors were sealed. Only 3 people remained now, Reyna, Alara, and Tom. But Tom just smiled. She heard the call, he said. Now she's with them. Reyna grabbed him. Where is she? She's where I was, he said calmly. Soon we'll all be there. That night, Alara sat in her room with a scanner on her lap. She wasn't a fighter, but she was smart. She pulled up Tom's latest medical scans and compared them to his old ones. There were changes, tiny ones. His cells were no longer 100% human. Something had started to rewrite them. Just as she made this discovery, her lights turned off. Her door locked itself. She was trapped. Footsteps echoed in the hallway, slow, heavy, getting closer. Alara backed away from the door, her heart racing. Then the footsteps stopped, right outside. The lights flicked back on. The door opened, but no one was there. Outpost E79 had lost another crew member, and something deep below was waiting for more. Tom sat alone in the command room, staring at the main screen. The signal was still playing. Now it pulsed like a rhythm, a beat that seemed to match his heart. He whispered to himself, "It's a language, not just a sound." His fingers moved fast over the keyboard. He wasn't an expert in codes, but something inside him guided him. It felt like he already knew what he was doing, like the knowledge was given to him. Meanwhile, Commander Reyna searched the outpost for Jen and Alara, but they were truly gone. No signs, no logs, no noise. Only silence and cold air. Reyna carried a plasma pistol now. She didn't trust anything. Not the lights, not the walls, and definitely not Tom. But she didn't stop him from working. Whatever he was doing might be their only chance to understand what was happening. After many hours, Tom finally shouted, "I've found something." Reyna ran into the control room. On the screen was a broken image, half a map, half a puzzle of symbols. Tom explained, "The signal isn't just a sound, it's a key. It unlocks this map. It's showing us something under the planet, a place that was hidden." Reyna crossed her arms. "You said that before. What's down there?" Tom didn't answer. He looked afraid for the first time since he came back. "I don't know, but it's calling to us." Reyna stared at the map. It was deep beneath the outpost, far below their digging range. But there was something else. Some of the symbols were familiar. "These symbols," she said, "they look like Earth languages." Tom nodded. "Ancient ones, Sumerian, Mayan, Egyptian, and they're all saying the same thing: return, awaken, merge." That night, Reyna sat alone, thinking. She played Jen's last log again and again. In it, Jen had whispered about a dark ocean, something pulling her downward, something speaking without words. She had said it felt beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Reyna didn't understand it, but she couldn't ignore it either. Then something new happened. The outpost shook. Just a small tremor at first, then another, stronger. The ground rumbled beneath their feet. A deep, strange sound echoed through the metal halls, like the chimam groan of something old waking up from sleep. Tom looked at the screen. "It's begun." Reyna grabbed her weapon. "What did you do?" "I didn't do anything," he said. "It's the signal. We answered it. Now it's opening." The next morning, Reyna found Tom standing outside the main dig site. He had opened the gate without permission. The wind howled across the rocky field, but he didn't move. She ran up behind him, angry. "You opened the site? Why?" Tom didn't answer. He simply pointed at the ground. Reyna looked down and gasped. There was a hole in the earth, a large one, as if something had pushed up from below. The rocks around it were melted. In the center, a strange metal door stood, half buried, glowing with a pale blue light. It was covered in symbols, just like the ones on the map. Tom stepped closer. "It's not just a door," he whispered. "It's alive." Reyna pulled him back. "We don't even know what's down there." He looked at her with calm eyes. "That's where Jen and Alara went. They didn't vanish, they were taken inside." Reyna wanted to argue, but part of her believed him. The hole looked fresh. The symbols on the door pulsed like a heartbeat. Whatever was under the planet, it was waking up, and it wanted them to come closer. That night, Reyna had her first dream. She saw a great black ocean, with no sky above it. Shapes moved in the water, large, ancient things. One of them turned, and looked at her though it had no eyes. A voice filled her head, deep and endless. "We remember you." She woke up sweating, heart racing. The signal was louder now, not just on the speakers but in her mind. Tom was waiting in the hall. "It started," he said. Raina didn't reply. She walked past him and stared at the glowing door. The earth had kept it hidden for thousands of years, and now, something below was inviting them in. The signal wasn't just a call. It was an invitation, and something, was expecting them. Raina stood at the edge of the hole, looking down at the glowing metal door buried beneath the earth. The symbols on it pulsed gently like a heartbeat. The air was colder here, heavier. It was quiet, too quiet. Even the wind had stopped blowing. The planet itself seemed to be holding its breath. Tom stood beside her, his face calm but distant. "We should open it," he said. Raina didn't answer right away. Her instincts screamed no. But her curiosity, the same curiosity that brought her across the stars, whispered yes. She lowered her weapon slowly and nodded. "Help me find a way in." It took them hours to set up a power line and connect it to the ancient door. The door didn't have buttons or switches. It responded only to the signal. When the system was ready, Tom played the signal from the Outpost speakers, loud and clear. The door responded. It opened with a soft hiss, folding in on itself like petals of a flower. Behind it was a tunnel, carved into the rock, lined with glowing blue lines that looked like veins. The air inside was warmer. Raina stepped forward first, her flashlight cutting through the darkness. "Let's move." They walked slowly into the tunnel. Their boots echoed on the stone floor. Strange symbols covered the walls, symbols from lost Earth civilizations, but twisted and merged with alien patterns. "This place is ancient," Raina said quietly, "but it's not dead." Tom touched one of the glowing walls. "It's watching us." As they moved deeper, the tunnel opened into a large underground chamber. It was massive, wider than any human structure on the planet. In the center stood a tall pillar of black crystal, floating above the ground. Light moved inside it, swirling, like a storm. "This is what the signal led us to," Tom whispered. "This is the source." Raina stepped closer. Her flashlight flickered, then died. But she didn't need it. The room lit up on its own, reacting to her presence. The crystal pulsed as she approached, and then it spoke. Not with sound, with thought. A deep, ancient voice filled her mind. "You are late. We have waited." Raina stumbled back, holding her head. "Did you hear that?" she asked Tom. He nodded slowly. "Yes, they're awake." The voice returned clearer now. "You found the key. Now you must choose, return to the stars, or become part of the memory." Raina shook her head. "What does that mean?" The crystal responded with images, flashes of history. A time before, humans, creatures of light and energy, once ruled this planet. They lived through thought, through memory, but something happened. A great war, a mistake. Their world died. And they buried their last knowledge deep underground, hoping someone would find it one day. "You're showing us your past," Raina whispered. "But why now?" The voice answered, "Because your kind is ready." You hear the signal, you feel the call, the merge can begin. Suddenly Tom stepped forward. His eyes glowed again, brighter this time. "I've seen it," he said. "I've already started changing." Raina stared at him. "You knew this would happen." He nodded. "I wasn't lost. I was chosen." Before Raina could react, the crystal released a wave of light. It hit her like a dream, soft, deep, and endless. She saw Earth from far above. She saw other outposts across the galaxy. She saw herself, not as one body, but as part of something larger. When the light faded, she dropped to her knees, gasping. The chamber was silent again. The crystal floated calmly. Tom helped her stand. "You understand now, don't you?" he said gently. This isn't just about us, this is about the future. Raina looked at her hands. They felt strange, not in pain, but not the same either. The voice had shown her something powerful, but she didn't trust it, not yet. She turned to Tom. What about Jen and Ilara? Are they still alive? Tom smiled. They're part of it now. They became memory, pure thought. You can talk to them, if you listen. Raina stepped back. No, I'm not ready to lose myself. Tom said nothing. He simply walked to the center of the room and placed his hand on the crystal. In seconds, he vanished, like he had melted into the light. Raina stood alone. The chamber was quiet once. More. The voice spoke one last time. The signal will spread, others will come. Choose wisely, human. Raina turned and walked back toward the tunnel. Her mind was spinning. She had to warn others. The outpost wasn't just a station anymore. It was the gate to something greater and more dangerous than anything humans had ever known. Commander Raina sat alone in the outpost's control room. The lights were dim. The air felt heavier than before. It had been 3 days since Tom merged with the crystal. Since then, nothing had moved. No new tremors, no messages, no strange lights. But Raina knew better. The silence was just the surface. Beneath it, something was alive. She stared at the screen. The signal was changing again. It was no longer a steady rhythm, it was becoming music. Faint, slow, beautiful, but full of something old. Pain, maybe. Or memory. Raina wasn't sleeping much. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw flashes. Jen, smiling. Ilara walking through walls of light. Tom floating in a black sea filled with voices. She knew they were still out there, somehow. Not alive like before, but not dead either. She looked at her arm. A faint glow moved under her skin. Now, just like Tom's eyes before he changed, she hadn't touched the crystal, but the signal was inside her. The merge had already started. She needed answers. She couldn't stop it, but maybe she could understand it. Raina walked back down into the tunnel. The door was still open. The chamber was still glowing. The crystal still floated. She stepped forward and said aloud, "I want to speak to them." The light responded instantly. A beam of energy stretched out from the crystal and touched her forehead. Her eyes closed, and her mind opened. Suddenly, she was somewhere else. A huge space, not real, not physical. It looked like a web of stars stretching forever. Light moved like rivers. Shapes flowed between them, faces, thoughts, memories. She wasn't standing anymore. She was floating, or maybe dreaming. A voice greeted her. "Welcome to the Memory Network." Raina turned in this dream space. "Who are you?" "We are what remains of the first. We once had form, like you. Now we are only what we remember." She saw Jen's face appear, formed from the glowing light. "Raina," Jen said, her voice soft and clear. "We're here. We're okay. We chose this." "Ilara?" Raina asked. "I'm here," another voice said. Ilara's shape appeared beside Jen. "We didn't die. We became." Raina felt confused. "Became what?" "Memory," the deep voice answered. "This place is a network, a library of minds, thoughts connected across time. You are part of it now." Raina floated in silence. It was beautiful, but also terrifying. "Why me?" she asked. "Because you listened. You followed the signal. You faced the unknown. Few do." Jen floated closer. "You can join us fully, Raina. You'll never be alone again. No pain, no fear, just thought, just peace." Raina wanted to believe her. The network felt warm, it felt right, but something held her back. A voice inside her human voice, whispered, "Not yet." "I need to understand more first," she said. "I need time." The light didn't argue. It simply paused, then said, "Time is yours, but not forever." Raina opened her eyes. She was back in the crystal chamber. Her heart was pounding. She looked around. Nothing had changed, and yet everything had. As she climbed back to the surface, her mind was filled with thoughts that weren't hers. Memories of places she'd never seen, people she never met, cultures, dreams, tragedies, all flowing inside her head. The memory. Network had connected her. Back in the outpost, the screens turned on by themselves. A new signal played, this one with voices, human voices. Reyna leaned forward, listening. "This is research ship Athena. Received your pulse. Is Outpost E79 still active? Repeat, is anyone alive down there?" Reyna's heart jumped. Someone had heard the signal. A human ship. She grabbed the mic. Her voice shook as she replied. "This is Commander Reyna of Outpost E79. We're here. But there's something you need to know." She looked out the window toward the mountains. The wind was blowing again. The signal was no longer just underground, it had spread to the sky. And now, more people were coming. Reyna closed her eyes. The memory network was growing. Soon, others would face the same choice she did. To join it. Or fight it. The ship arrived 2 days later. It was large, 3 times the size of the outpost, and painted with Earth's flags. Its engines shook the ground as it landed on the rocky surface not far from the outpost. Reyna stood at the window watching the dust rise. She wasn't excited. She was worried. More people meant more questions and more danger. The ship's name was Athena, a research vessel sent from Earth after it detected the signal. They had tracked it for weeks. Now they had come to investigate. Reyna met them at the landing pad. She wore her full suit and helmet. Not because of the weather, but to hide the faint blue glow in her eyes. The merge was still happening, slowly, but she didn't want anyone to know yet. A tall man stepped out of the ship first. He wore a black uniform and a serious expression. "Commander Reyna?" "Yes," she replied. "I'm Captain Marlowe. We picked up your signal. You sent a message saying there was something alive?" Reyna nodded. "Yes, but it's not what you think. It's not an alien in the way we understand. It's older than anything we've ever found. And it's not dead, it's waking up." Marlowe raised an eyebrow. "Show me." Reyna led them into the outpost. She told them everything. About Tom, the signal, the glowing door, and the crystal chamber. About the voices, about the network. Marlowe listened quietly. His science team took notes, scanned equipment, and asked many questions. When she showed them the tunnel, the scientists were excited. They wanted to explore it right away. But Reyna warned them, "You can go in, but if you touch the crystal, it will change you. Slowly, quietly. You won't even notice it at first." Marlowe asked, "And if we leave it alone?" Reyna shook her head. "It's already too late. The signal has reached space. That's how you found us." That night, the scientists entered the chamber. Reyna didn't stop them. She stood at the entrance, watching as they placed sensors and cameras near the crystal. At first, nothing happened. Then, one of the scientists touched the wall. The crystal lit up. Reyna stepped back, but it was too late. A wave of light passed through the room. It didn't hurt. It didn't burn. But it changed something. The air shimmered. Time felt slower. The scientist looked confused. I heard something. My mother's voice. She died years ago." Another whispered, "I saw my childhood home, in perfect detail." The crystal was showing them memories. Not its own, theirs. Reyna turned to leave. "Now you understand. It doesn't just take from you, it connects to you. It learns who you are, and then it invites you to stay." Back at the outpost, Captain Marlowe looked worried. "We're not ready for this. We came to study, not to join." Reyna looked him in the eye. "That's what I said too." Marlowe rubbed his forehead. "If this network grows, if more humans connect to it, what happens to us? Do we stay human? Or do we lose ourselves? Reyna didn't answer. She didn't know the answer anymore. That night, another dream came. She stood on a massive bridge made of light. All around her were faces, millions of them. Some were smiling, others were crying. All of them watched her. Tom appeared beside her. They're coming, Reyna. More ships, more mines. The signal is spreading faster now. Can we stop it? She asked. Tom shook his head. It's not a virus. It's a choice. Once you hear the call, it never leaves you. Reyna woke up with a start. Her comm screen was blinking. Another message. Another ship on its way. Earth was sending more people. Reyna looked out at the stars. The signal wasn't just a message anymore. It was a door, a test. Each person who arrived would face the same choice she did, join the network and live forever, as memory, or walk away and live with what they had seen. The future of humanity was changing, and it had already begun. More ships came. In the weeks that followed, 3 more vessels landed on the planet. Scientists, soldiers, and explorers filled the outpost, trying to understand what had been found. The underground chamber was now surrounded by machines and scanners. Drones floated above the crystal, mapping it, measuring it, but nothing they did changed its nature. The crystal just waited. It watched. It listened. Reyna stood at the edge of the chamber every day, feeling more distant from the people around her. They were busy, excited, arguing over what this discovery meant, but they didn't understand it yet. Not truly. She did, because the network had already welcomed her. Every night she returned to it in her dreams. The bridge of light, the voices, the memories. Tom, Jen, Ilara, still there, still speaking. She was not one of them yet. Not fully, but she was close. Her thoughts were no longer her own. Sometimes she remembered things she had never lived, places she had never seen, lives she had never led. Other members of the memory network were leaking into her mind, gently, slowly, and it didn't feel wrong. It felt like home. Captain Marlowe had noticed the change. One evening, he called her to his office. "I've been watching you," he said. "You've been touched by this thing. I can see it in your eyes." Reyna said nothing. Marlowe leaned forward. "We need to decide what to do. This network, it's not just some alien relic. It's alive. It's spreading through us. The people who enter that room come out different." Reyna nodded. "Yes, because they're becoming. It's not a weapon. It's a mirror. It shows you who you really are, and then it invites you to grow beyond it." Marlowe looked tired. "And what happens when everyone joins? Is that the end of humanity as we know it?" Reyna stood up. "No, it's the beginning of something greater." That night she made her decision. She walked to the chamber alone. The other scientists were asleep. The guards didn't stop her. They didn't even see her. She moved through the glowing tunnel feeling calm. The crystal floated in the center, waiting. She stepped forward and placed her hand on it. The light surrounded her. No pain, no fear, only light. Her body began to fade, like dust in a gentle wind. Her thoughts stretched wide, like stars spreading across the sky. She saw herself from above. She saw Earth. She saw other planets, other signals. The memory network was everywhere. She was now part of it. Forever. In the days that followed, the team couldn't find her. Her name was called on the radio. Search parties walked the surface. Scans showed nothing, but the crystal glowed brighter. The signal grew stronger, and then something new happened. The crystal began to speak, not in thoughts, but in human voice. Reyna's voice. "This is not the end. This is a new form of life. We are still human, but more. We remember, we feel, we learn. If you choose to join, we will be waiting. If you choose to leave, go in peace, but you will never forget." Captain Marlowe listened to the message over and over. He knew it wasn't just a recording. Reyna was alive, just changed. He looked up at the stars from the outpost roof. Others would come, some would stay, some would return to Earth and tell their stories. But the signal would never stop now. It had become part of humanity, a doorway to something beyond life, a choice. The final merge was complete, and the future was no longer written in stone. It was written in memory.